So I'm sat here with Martin Sellner, who is the spokesman for Generation Identity, and I'm also sat with Brittany Pettibone, who is his partner, who is a conservative commentator and journalist, who's from America. They tried to travel to the UK 3 days ago. Upon their arrival, they were held, they were arrested, and they've spent 3 days in a detention centre before being deported. I want to sit here now and find out exactly what happened during that ordeal and the reasons why. First of all, how are you?
Good now. Happy to be back in Austria.
Absolutely, we're fine.
So just explain to me what exactly happened from the minute you landed.
Yeah, we landed and at passport control I was held. The guy asked me if I've ever was held there before, and he said it's just a matter of a few minutes. But this was the beginning of a 3 days detention actually. They found Brittany, we were separated, we were not allowed to look on our phones, not allowed to talk, and then they put us on hold there. They searched our bags. And we spent the whole day there, and then in the night they brought us into a detention center where we had to stay till Sunday, separated, unable to communicate it, and actually treated like criminals.
First time you saw each other then was when you were released?
At the detention center, there was a time you could go to there was like a visitor center, so they brought us separately and we were able to meet and talk, and then we had to return to our quarters. So this was the time.
But the first time we could talk in private again was in the plane back from the UK. And sometimes I really didn't know where she was, she didn't know where I was. And we were in cells locked up with criminals who were being deported to Eastern Europe, illegals who came to the country illegally. And both of us were handcuffed while we were dragged over the airport. So it was really an interesting experience. Yeah.
Because I walked through the main part of the airport, you know, where everyone is getting their luggage and stuff, and everyone looking at me like you're some kind of criminal. It was embarrassing. I just started laughing.
And what was your intention for coming to the UK?
Yeah.
Originally?
My crime.
Yeah,
and
what is the crime?
Brittany's crime was that she wanted to talk with you, and my crime is that I wanted to speak at Speaker's Corner, and even that's a backstory to it, because I was invited the second time by Young Independents, the youth movement of UKIP, to give a speech about freedom of speech at one of their events. And both times they lost the venue because of pressure of Antifa. And
threats against the venue.
Threats against them, threats of violence. And then I remember, because my mother, when I was young, told me about this place in London, Speaker's Corner, where everybody can just take a crate, put it on the chair, and then start speaking. And I thought, okay, no, I will not cancel my flying tickets. We'll go there and I'll speak at Speaker's Corner and give my speech there.
And that's your crime?
That was my crime.
Mm-hmm. So that's your crime. And your crime is separate, because obviously that's your intention, and they separated you both and asked you your intentions for coming to the UK.
Yes. So I have the official statement here. I'll just read the sentence, which it involves you. Yep. So they say, you have asked for leave to enter the United Kingdom as a visitor for 5 days, but as you stated in your interview, I have reasons to believe that you are seeking admission to the United Kingdom to interview Tommy Robinson, a far-right leader whose materials and speeches incite racial hatred. So that said, I just want to add really quick, Martin said, okay, you can detain me, you know, I won't give my speech, the event won't happen, so let Brittany go through and she can go and conduct her interviews because she has other work there, she was just going to film my speech. They said, no, actually your case is worse because you want to interview Tommy Robinson. So they were completely just up in arms about you.
I've never been done for any of those crimes. I've never committed any of those crimes, but what message does that send, that a journalist can't come into our country to interview someone?
The first thing that crossed my mind is, wow, this reads a lot like political discrimination. Like, on what ground? I was like thinking, okay, he's not a criminal. You're a free man walking around the UK. Anyone should be able to talk to you. Why can't I go in? Like, it's not like I want to go to a prison or something to interview someone. It was just really bizarre. It felt like they were saying, you're right wing, that's not allowed. You're conservative, it's not allowed, so you're not welcome here.
I think also the decision was already made before.
Yeah,
they were searching for reasons.
The decision was made. You was on a list before you come into the country.
Our passports, right when it.
So when you put it flagged up.
Yeah.
I think it's very telling that the UK is opening its borders for all kinds of people, letting radical Islam grow within its borders, but is shutting its borders down for dissenting opinions. That's very telling, very revealing, and I think it's actually very embarrassing for a modern Western democracy.
What if I tell you, in fact I haven't got time to sit here, I could give you thousands of examples, but I'll pick one. Yusuf Sagbar. He was a Moroccan who was living in Italy. He tried to go and fight for ISIS. He told the border staff clearly he wanted to become a terrorist. Those details and that information was passed on to the European countries, it was passed on to the British government. And he was then allowed to come to London, moved to London. He wasn't stopped. He went on to commit a terrorist attack at London Bridge, killing 8 people and injuring 48. So what is it about yourselves that's more dangerous than him? How can we make sense of that?
I think it's crazy, it's telling, it's embarrassing that the British government wants to protect its citizens from dangerous thoughts more than from terrorist strikes, trucks and bombs. They're afraid of dissenting opinions.
Mm-hmm. And do you think, or I've asked you the question, what do you think their fear was in your presence here? Do you think they were scared of you or what you were going to say? Or do you think they're scared of the reaction?
I think it's a little bit of both, because the thing is, we've never incited any kind of violence, ever. We simply want to go places and speak. We're not like chasing after, crazy things happening. We just wanted to go and speak peacefully. And we stated that in a video before we went to the UK. What troubles me is the fact that they don't ever pursue Antifa, who set up a counter protest on Facebook. Then many of them were tweeting for over the course of several days about how they're going to shut this down by any means necessary. And the fact that the UK patrols online hate speech so often, and yet they don't go after Antifa, who are threatening all this kinds of violence, and they persecute people who just want to go speak freely and peacefully, it's mind-boggling. And it should be very eye-opening. I don't understand why people in the UK will stand for it.
So they said to you as one of the reasons was that they believe that your presence here could inflame tensions.
Exactly. So the Antifa got exactly what they wanted. The state just acted as a puppet for Antifa, bending to their will. I mean, with such a government, who needs Antifa? Because Antifa wanted to shut my protest down, wanted to prevent me from going to Speaker's Corner, and the state exactly acted like this. And I think it's losing its mask more and more and showing its totalitarian face. And you see how multiculturalism is connected to totalitarianism. Because if you want to proceed a policy that is disliked by the silent majority, you need to come up with more and more measures to shut them down, to shut free speech down. So I think it's linked to each other, and you see at the UK how Western democracies are turning more and more totalitarian as they're becoming Islamicized and turning more multicultural.
Has your view changed from what you thought of Britain 3 days ago?
Yes.
To now landing back here in your home?
Absolutely. It's one thing to read all the articles about there's no freedom of speech in the UK, or people are getting arrested for, expressing their opinions that might be considered wrong-think. But it's quite another to actually experience it and to be in that situation. It's just like for us, of course, we're in this and we always were, and we'd never give up regardless. But after experiencing that, there's no way you can go back. I spoke to several of the Border Patrol people and who were secretly right-wing, but obviously they were very kind to us, but they're like, we can't do anything. We don't want to lose our jobs. But one of them said to me, the British people, we just suffer in silence. It's just how we are. And I said to him that, okay, if you have cancer, you don't suffer in silence because it's only going to get worse. You have to act in some way, or you're going to incrementally lose your freedoms. One day it's going to affect you, whether or not it is right now, one day it will. So you might as well stand up now, because you're only losing every day. You're not gaining anything. Suffering in silence it's not the option.
If it wasn't for this interview here, if it wasn't for alternative media, I don't think the British public would be aware that a couple like yourself have been detained, separated, imprisoned, and then deported because you're going to speak about free speech, because you're going to put your ideas across and your opinions.
And that's why we're so grateful for everyone. There were so many people that were tweeting about this, raising...
Every tweet, article, there were demonstrations in Hungary, in Germany, everywhere. And I'm especially grateful and proud of the people who went to Speaker's Corner.
Yeah.
So you were supposed to speak today at Speaker's Corner. They held you. This is the thing that gets me. Is it seems like they punished you as well. They wanted to teach you a lesson, because they could have turned you straight around on a flight and deported you on Friday.
I even called them, and I wanted to get a flight from Heathrow, and they just said no, it's not possible because of bureaucratic reasons. I think also that to put Brittany in detention, they just wanted to give a message. They wanted to teach the whole public message that happens when you speak your mind.
What infuriated
me... They hope you give up as well. I've been in this situation.
But we won't give up. And I think it's what they want is silence. They want to silence everybody. And Brittany and me were sitting in those cells, but every British citizen is also sitting in a cell of fear and silence, suffering in silence.
They're afraid.
we need to get them to come out of these cells. And all the people who went to Speaker's Corner, all the people who showed their faces, they showed that freedom of speech is still alive in the UK.
Something that particularly infuriated me is the fact that when we arrived at the detention center, the warden met with us, or the manager, whatever you call him, he met with us individually and was like, don't discuss anything political about maybe about who you are, what you believe here, because we want to avoid, you know, any disturbances. And that got me thinking, if there is even the slightest risk that we can be in danger here, why not let us fly out Saturday? Because they're saying you have to fly out on the same airline from which you arrived, but which was EasyJet, and there were EasyJet flights out from Heathrow. And we were staying in a detention center very close to Heathrow, so why not let us fly out Saturday? Why put us at that risk, even if it's small?
Which is a risk.
Yeah.
Because once people know that you speak about Islam, for example, in a detention centre, what nationality were the people you padded up with and celled up with?
Most people were black of Arab nationality. Many of them also Muslims, so I think if the word spread, if I would have stayed there a few more days, there would actually really be a real danger.
A risk.
Absolutely.
So your lives have been put in danger by the British state?
In a way it was, so, but I also have to say that the border forces, the normal policemen, they were very friendly. A lot of them were sympathizing with us. It was also a very British thing, like even when they put on your handcuffs and search your body, it was very polite. I think it's only British people can do it like that. What you're really complaining and what we are upset about is the decision of the government, but I think it will backfire because they wanted to keep it silent, they want to keep it under the blanket, and they want no tensions to rise, and now they have it back because a lot of people are upset now, and they want to know what I was prevented to talk about. Well,
I've seen this for years, and what the British government have attempted to do is obviously silence you. And what I believe the reason for that is because they are worried about the reaction. They're always, so basically they'll take away your rights, like they take away my rights, because of a violent opposition. Now, they can stop you travelling to the UK. They can't stop me. That's my country. Mm-hmm. If you had a speech prepared, did you have a speech? Have you got a speech prepared?
I had a speech prepared for the venue, and then I prepared another one for Speaker's Corner, and actually I rewrote it in my prison cell. And the thing is, I even have
you got that speech?
Yeah. And the thing is,
if I take this speech, this is the backfiring from the government and the police and what they're attempting to do. Speaker's Corner has a 300-year history from some of the most controversial figures, from Karl Marx to George Orwell.
Vladimir Lenin.
But yeah, everyone is allowed to speak there. It's part of our country's history. And the fact that they're trying to stop it, and the fact that we see Islamic preachers coming in, week in, every week, then I'll deliver this speech on your behalf. I'll read this speech out. So the government haven't won, because I can't sit there and think that you're letting them win. If they stop you giving the speech, then they win. Mm. So at 3 o'clock on Sunday, I'll ask anyone who values freedom of speech, whether it be in Britain or in Europe, come along and support free speech. And Sunday at Speaker's Corner, 3 p.m. That's what I want to do.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Yeah. Also, I just want to add that the forbidden interview that I was due to do with you, yes, we're going to actually go through with that. So you can look forward to that on my channel if you're interested. The one that the band interview. It will be happening.
It will be happening. And if I ask you, just to end on, what's next for you two?
First of all, thank you very much for doing this. Yep. It's a sign that they can stop the speaker, but they cannot stop the speech. They can stop persons, but they cannot stop ideas from entering countries. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do activism and forcing them to reveal themselves as totalitarianistic or accepting us in the whole freedom of speech and democracy. Mm-hmm. We want to change it. There's been absolutely no course correct. It's basically just motivated us more, and it made us see how much more important it is to just keep doing what we're doing. And obviously there will probably be plenty more of this, but you have to forge on, and hopefully more and more people will start to do the same. And because a lot of people keep demanding it to the UK and to the government, I can say, I'll be back.
And I'll just say as well that I think it has, because I've read the comments, and I've read comments of people who didn't know who you were, and people saying, why did our grandfathers die? Why did our families die? Mm. They died for free speech, they died for people's rights, and they're taking them away. And that's the reality. Back home in Britain, we're losing our rights. We live in a post-free speech era. I understand that. What I need the British public to understand is that. And instances like this will really bring it home. When they see the people that they're stopping coming in, look who's being stopped from coming into our country. And then look who's being allowed in. Thank you. And
thank you, Tom.
I wish you luck. Cheers. Thank you. I just want to say a personal thank you to every single person who supported me. I couldn't bring you these videos without your support. We have no big funders, no big donators. So this is literally by you, for you. So I want to say a personal thank you. And if anyone else wants to keep up to date with what we're doing, we've got plenty of exciting things coming up now. I've gone independent. You can do so at tommyrobinson.online. Thank you.